it's crispy.
You're going for the ASMR this time. It feels intentional.
It actually isn't. It's just natural.
Why don't I believe you?
Because you don't.
That's
it. Because you don't. That's on you.
You can't answer a question like that.
Yeah, you can.
Why does the sun come up? Because it does.
Because it does. Like, what do you mean?
You gotta be able to explain things further than because.
I'm literally just doing stuff.
Because.
I'm just doing stuff.
Because
that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we don't have the best tips.
That's what she said.
We just have the white one.
That's definitely.
We don't have the beige ones.
That's definitely the joke. Nah, you shouldn't have. You should have just left it as just the white ones. That would have been way funnier. That would have been way funnier. No, did we make Diamond?
We did. We made Diamond.
Diamond 3.
In that game that we play,
All the time.
All the time.
Marvel Rivals.
The Rivals.
Born
the rivalry.
Again. What's up? Okay.
Again.
Yeah, about to say, give me an alt line.
Okay, a line from Rivals.
Any line. I feel like we went the last 2 or 3 pods without quoting Marvel Rivals, so we got to make that right.
Damn,
you gave me a lot.
Neo Peasants.
Oh, that shit is funny when you be talking to our homies about the friendly alt lines versus the enemy alt line. Y'all gotta learn the difference, yo.
Yeah.
That intel is crucial. But no, we made it to Diamond. How have you felt about ranking up overall this season?
So I really have been thinking about it. It's been easier.
Really?
Yes. Because remember, the last time I got to Diamond was literally the day before the season ended. And then I sat there the whole day and got to Grandmaster in a day. I'm in Diamond right now.
Mm-hmm. And there's still
we have
50 some odd days.
Almost 2 months left.
The fucking season.
So I would say that the ranking is working the rank climbs are working just fine. I got out of the fray. I'm more with the people I'm used to. It makes a lot of sense, especially since I didn't go all the way down to bronze. We only went down like
9
2 whole
ranks.
tiers or 3 whole tiers. Yeah. So
Oh.
it's like, I got to, essentially where I was at,
You're with the correct elo right
Yeah,
now, is what
yeah.
you feel like. And you don't feel like it's been too hard. You actually feel like it's easier just because, relatively speaking, to the length of the entire season, you climb faster. But I would say that's because you're that good now. And
right. It only took me a month to get to where I was at right before the season ended. Yeah, I would say that.
That's how good. That's where you're supposed to be at.
That's where I'm supposed to be, yeah. So I think it's working just fine.
I feel like I got a good understanding of the rank system. And I also feel like I make enough random Rivals friends and have enough friends who actually play Rivals. And I think one of my hidden talents as a human, period, is that I'm a good assessor of people's talents in general. And I can definitely extrapolate that to Rivals. So when I'm playing with anybody, I can be like, oh, okay, this person's better than me in these ways. This person's maybe worse than me in these ways. I kind of feel like I'm a good gauge of skill. So I got a couple friends on my friends list. And when we're all kind of in the same rank, that makes sense to me. And then when I see them making higher ranks, that's when I'm like, oh, I can climb. I got KTM Drip. Shout out to my boy, one of my students who plays with me. And he's better at the game than me. He's played with us a couple times. And every time he's in there, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, he's better. He finished last season Celestial.
Okay.
I was GM3. Mm-hmm. And so as I've been watching the rank, when he was sitting at Diamond, I was like, okay, so I probably can make it to Platinum now.
Right.
And now he's sitting at Grandmaster. In fact, he touched Celestial for a minute, but he's back at Grandmaster. So I'm like, okay, that's when I knew, like, I can go up to Diamond. So I feel like the elo is all making sense, and it's all just time. And I feel like the climb has been pretty decent, as well as the fact that I'm just kind of excited that they brought back the Season 0 Battle Pass. So I get to have the greatest Doctor Strange costume in the game. And as a Doctor Strange main, this pleases me.
It pleases me, yeah.
But I do have a question now for you about the nature of that, because when they announced the Season 0 Battle Pass is coming back, do you know what I start to see a whole bunch of?
Crybabies?
Whining, bitching. Oh my god, they're bringing back this thing. I thought it was only for me. I thought I was exclusive for me, and now people who aren't me, who weren't in Club Me and got it when I got it, they can get it now. That makes me feel less special. Can I just ask people, like, if you feel less because somebody else got something that you already have, I need you to interrogate that feeling. I need you to be like, why do you care so much about what the next man possesses? Especially if it's some shit that you already have. Because, man, I'm not losing nothing for other people gaining something that I already have. In fact, I'm excited for people when they get the chance to get some shit that I love. It makes me very happy. Personally.
I feel that.
So, in summation, good climbs.
Good climbs.
Good content. I've been playing with my random friends too. Random people have been inviting me to play with them because they're like, man, this dude must be good or something. So, dope. But speaking of dope,
welcome to the Cosmic Corner
with Zolo and Boots. I'm Zolo.
I'm Boots.
And you know, this is our weekly app where we talk to y'all about all of the dope, relevant, irrelevant, crazy, not crazy, nerdy, possibly nerdy, whatever the fuck is on the mind of these two people at this point in time. And got a lot on my mind, Boots. I got a whole lot on my mind. Get our rocket ship going real quick. This is not the same strain as we've been
No.
rocket shipping because we copped some new.
So this is by a company called Astor. This is pre-ground cannabis flower. Called saffron ground flower.
Oh, saffron.
From Astor Farms. Yep.
It's fucking fire. Literally, it's on fire right now. Over this weekend, we finally got done watching Andor. Before we get into the details of the show, they had a very interesting release strategy, wouldn't you say?
I would.
What are your thoughts on it? Because to me, it felt like the in between the binge model and the weekly release model. You found a little sweet spot right in the middle there.
I think it makes the most sense considering the type of genre we're in, which is like spy, espionage type of stuff. There's a lot of layers to it. So I think that the model that they had, where it was 3 episodes, those 3 episodes summed up about a year before the events of Rogue One. I think it made the most sense because I think with those the type of content, trying to get people to stay focused on it between weeks, especially if like this isn't your typical genre. Not even the recap, I feel, would be enough. I think it made the most sense to release it as like essentially a movie each week.
Low-key, it did kind of feel like they put out like a movie each week. But for me, it did feel like a sweet spot between the binge model of putting everything out at once and a weekly release, because like it dropped 3 episodes on Tuesday, and it was quite a few times where, man, you could not get to it on Tuesday, or we watched like 1 on a Wednesday and 1 on a Thursday and 1 on a Friday, and so that we were kind of caught up by the time the next 3 episodes came out. But I think that gave it a lot of freedom for the fan base to kind of choose how they wanted to consume it.
Yeah.
So, plus for them. And I also feel like it probably had to do with the fact that Disney Plus has a lot of stuff that they want to come out and promote. So maybe they didn't want Andor taking up 3 months of like the main promotion, because that's, if they released the episode a week, that's 3 months. But they took those 12 episodes and released them in 1 month. So it had 1 month of being like, this is the one, go watch this is the one. Was it the one, Boots?
I believe so. It's one of my favorite TV series. I'm still thinking about it. It really, I hate to be that person. It's definitely drawing so many parallels to real life.
Dude.
That it makes it hard to not think about it. Like, I'm still thinking about it, And yesterday, what Zolo and I did, we finished the entirety of Andor on Friday. So the last couple episodes we had left, we finished on Friday. And Saturday morning, we woke up and watched Rogue One. So we got to, just continue it. And being able to go watch Rogue One and feeling like they already knew what happened in Andor for the most part. Like, they really made it fit very well. And some people are trying to pick it apart. Like the big one I'm seeing is like Cassian saying he hasn't been in a jail cell, like the ones they were in.
I've seen that picked apart.
Yeah, and it's just like, I like what a lot of people were saying, that it's just like Cassian's a spy. Cassian has made it very, very obvious from the moment he got he had to drop off during season 2. Cassian had to drop off a fighter pilot, right? A TIE fighter. And the pilot wasn't there. Instead, it was like a guerrilla type of thing.
In the first 3 episodes, yeah.
He's not telling them nothing. He's like, you need to learn how to lie. You need to learn how to keep things close to the chest. And everybody's like, oh, why wasn't he telling the truth in this scene? And you can't understand why he would keep things close to the chest. I think everything worked out very perfectly. His monologue to Jin when they start solidifying the rebellion from the rebellion, because they were the rogue from the rebellion, it hit harder. Because you saw everything that he had to endure up to this point.
It does. Let's get into, since that's where you want to go with it now, let's get into how Andor helps you recontextualize some things from Rogue One.
See.
Because like you said, definitely when you hear him monologuing to Jan, you're like, nah, I feel that. No, I watched you fight this war for this long. I've seen how many times you almost quit and came back. I've seen everything that you've personally had to sacrifice for this, and why anyone would dare talk to you about sacrificing, and you like, nigga, I've been sacrificing since been sacrificing. So you definitely get a little bit more of Andor's character. When he gets the order to kill Galen Erso, you kind of get a different sense of how he's taking it from that guy, now that you know that guy was giving him shit for being the rule breaker for as long as he was breaking the rules, and now he like, oh, so now you want somebody who might be willing to break some rules because this is how you feel, even though this is what the operation is.
You want to know what's really funny? Then he breaks that rule. It's like, oh, now it's something you want me to do, and then he breaks it. I think it's understanding Cassian's autonomy and also understanding why he was one of the best spies they had is because he understood what he needed to do in the moment.
Always. In fact, that was a thing that he had with, I want to say, Luthen, or some argument he had with them in one of the later half of the season episodes in season 2, where it's like, no, I want to be in, like, I don't want to take orders from nobody. It's not necessarily that he want to be in charge, it's that he wants to be able to make his own decisions because he's often making the correct one.
He knows what he has to do, yeah.
Yeah, generally. Like, he was up there about to kill Galen, and why didn't he do it?
Cassian has what we all have, you know, and something that's in that type of situation. You've been doing it for such a long time, and that's a gut feeling. It's a gut feeling, because what's the next thing he sees? He sees Jin down there.
He sees Jin down there. He sees Galen standing in front of the Imperial firing squad, in front of his engineers, being like, don't kill them. Like, you can't hear what they're saying if you're in Cassian's position, but you can definitely tell that happening. He's standing in front of a firing squad and trying to defend other people. So there was so much information that was telling him, like, no, I'm not supposed to do this. And that's also, I think, why at the end when Jin tried to kind of grill him for it, he's like, I don't have to explain myself to you. Like, I already know I did the right thing, so you can, your feelings is you got those, whatever. But I'm cool with me because I know what I did. I know what I've had to do. So definitely that recontextualization is interesting. Does it change how you feel about any other characters in that movie? It doesn't deal with too many of the other characters in that movie.
No, because I was about to say the person that it's supposed to change your feelings for is the person that's namesake is the title, and that's Andor. I mean, you know, is it KX or K7?
K2.
K2.
Yeah. K2. So
he never stays on the fucking ship.
He never stays on the fucking ship, so you do get that sort of sense of they be doing this from that. So that was cool. Does it recontextualize Mon Mothma for you at all? Because, you know, I barely noticed Mon Mothma in Rogue One until you watch Andor, and now you're like, okay, this is the journey that she's been on with the rebellion.
And this isn't the only time you see her either. Like, she's in the original trilogy, right?
Yeah, Mon Mothma's been a figure in the rebellion for as long as George Lucas has been making Star Wars movies, but she was definitely just a woman in the background with the white dress on who has implied leadership. She don't really have a role like that in the original trilogy. And then, in keeping with that, when Rogue One happened, she had a bit more of a role. She had more to say. You can see she was in charge. But I do think that seeing her go through the journey in Andor kind of gives you a little bit more respect for her position there and why she's there and what she's doing there.
And then when she, you know, if we ever get to Rebels,
That part too. We probably should watch Rebels.
Yeah, we really should.
At this point, we've consumed all Star Wars media except for the last half of the Clone Wars show, which we already know. Knives, don't look at me. I already know. I need to watch Clone Wars. I already know.
Yeah.
And then Rebels. We've seen everything else.
Oh, I loved a lot of the parallels. I love how you conceptualized exactly how long the Death Star was. Y'all, this Death Star has been being made for 15
They've been building that shit for a long ass time, fam.
And it was only around for a week.
That's funny.
It was only around for a week. And then the other thing that I was like, so essentially the Death Star is a giant lightsaber gun.
Once she found out that Kyber was the fuel for it, but you could have knew that 10 years ago when they said the shit in Rogue One.
I know, but the more I'm sitting here having to really think about it, and I'm like, they're trying to figure out what type of weapon this is, and then I'm like, how would they know? Because, us as the audience, I was saying this as it was happening, I was like, we were just thrown in it. We had Episode 4, which wasn't even called Episode 4 when it came out, because nobody knew it was going to be like this. Star Wars. And we are immediately on the Death Star, and we're like, this, it's the first thing you're interacting with, right? And then here, you have to really put yourself in their shoes. They have no idea what this is. And I don't even think they could ever, begin to imagine what the hell they were making. Who sits there and thinks, yeah, it's a planet killer. They're coming up with a planet killer. What? Does anybody have any idea how fucking insane this must sound to them?
Yeah. I wonder what boardroom meeting led to them, actually deciding to make that weapon. Because you don't see that. But you definitely see all the years of time and all of the infrastructure and all of the actual politics that had to go behind them kind of making this big-ass weapon that is only around for a week. Because as they were about to finish making the shit, motherfuckers figured out what the weakness was. Because Galen Erso is that guy.
They blew up, 3 planets? Maybe 4? How many did they blow up in 4 other than Alderaan?
Alderaan is the only planet that gets blown up in 4.
Okay.
And then they blow up a city on Jeddah, and then they hit the tower on Scarif. But neither of those 2 planets actually get destroyed. They use it on a single reactor, which they're very specific about in Rogue One. So the only actual planet that got killed by the Death Star is Alderaan. Whatever the fucking...
Scarif wasn't completely destroyed?
No, again.
Okay.
Single reactor. So, that's when they first are about to use the Death Star in Rogue One. Jeddah was the first test. And they're like, I don't think we need to blow this up. I think we just finna blow up the capital city. So use it on 1% power, single reactor.
That capital city was that close to where the hideout was?
Yeah, they walked them from there, remember? When Jen and them are in the city and they're like, oh, Saw Gerrera, these niggas literally walked them from that city. So, yeah, it's that close that explosion was going to wreck everything that Saw had going on. But that's a single reactor explosion. That's the weakest version of the blast from the Death Star. It doesn't blow up the planet, but does a very destructive shit on the surface. Did that to Jeddah, did that to Scarif, which is their own fucking shit. And then they used it one time at full power against Alderaan and blew that shit up. Technically, Death Star got 1 body on it. Fuck you talking about.
And then the Death Star 2, that's in
episode 6.
6.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6. Return of the Jedi. They're still making repairs on the Death Star 2 when everything happens for them to blow up the Death Star 2. So Death Star 2 don't got no bodies on it. Fuck you talking about. Death Star don't got bodies like that. Fuck you talking about. Got real human bodies, but don't got planet bodies. For a planet killer, you kill 1 planet, bro.
And then they never recreate it in the newest trilogy.
No, the sequel trilogy did create their own, whatever the fucking name of the, I'm inspired by the Death Star ass idea. And if the Death Star was just the size of a moon, this thing is they built it into the planet. And that thing in episode 7 actually does destroy 5 or 6 different planets. So technically that boy got more bodies
than the Death Star.
It's pretty hilarious when you think about it.
So, yeah, because it's the Death Star is just the be-all, end-all, but really it's just a little bitch.
It just never had a chance.
Yeah.
It just never had a chance. That Andor was nothing to fuck with. My Mothma's face every time Cassian shot somebody was classic. But Luthen and Keela? What's my girl name?
I was saying it all day.
You were saying it all day yesterday, yeah.
Frick. This is what happens when you get cosmic, yeah. And then, there's
Clea.
Clea, there you go.
Luthen and Clea. And the whole idea that the rebellion was for Clea. That's what you were telling me earlier.
Yeah. Once he saw her, he had his breakdown. He broke down. And he's like, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. He was breaking down. And the moment he saw her, he got his shit together. He's like, fuck this, fuck all of this. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And then he was like, we don't need to be doing that. Like we just need to survive. And then she saw people die, and she's like, fuck that. He was like, yeah, you're right. Fuck that. Damn.
Just everybody who sacrificed himself.
He sacrificed himself. And he did not succeed, so she had to sacrifice him. And get all this information back for people not to believe it, because as a spy, as one does, as the Lilianas and our Black Widows and all of them do, that's a deep, that's a deep cut. They're gonna have secrets themselves, but it's like the moment they die, and this is the last thing they have to say, that's it. And then not even 2 days later, Galen dies.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing. He had this information, and everybody's like, we can't trust it. It's funny. It's just, as much as rebellions are built on hope, they're built on rebellions, which means more rebellions happen within them, depending on your level of, fuck around and find out essentially.
And find the fuck
That's why
out.
Saul Guerrero had his whole thing, because he's like, you're not enough. And they're like, you're too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're like, but you're still part of us, and we still care. So we still got to watch out for you. And he's like, first of all, you don't have to watch out for anything, because now I'm even more suspicious of you, because I'm already as much of an extremist as I can be. And what's the one person that breaks it all down for him? It's Jin.
It was Jin also.
Jin was his hope. Notice how completely different he is with her than every single buddy else.
That man is psychotic.
He's psychotic, but he even spared, what's my man's name?
I know my man.
Yeah, and then he had him inhale it. He's like, here's the secret. Inhale this. This is what freedom is. Because we're down here and we're doing this. And it took him.
That monologue was fire.
Dude.
You think I'm crazy? That monologue was fire. I am crazy. You gotta be a little crazy. You gotta be a little crazy to do what we out here doing. And he bodied that.
And it's really dependent on the youth, because it was Jin, because it was Clea, and it was Cassian, because Cassian was rescued himself. And the woman that raised him, it's his mom, because we even toast to her with Val to acknowledge that she started it for him.
Yeah.
And he fought it for her. He fought it for Bix, and unknowingly, spoilers. If you haven't finished it, spoilers.
This was all spoilers, by the way. Yeah.
Then his son, and everybody's like, "Oh, who's the son? Who's the son?" And the whole point is, it doesn't matter who the son is, because as I wish because I really like The Last Jedi for setting up Rey to be a nobody. That's the whole point.
Bro.
That's the whole point. I wish they would have kept that, because that was so powerful. It's like, it does not matter, because hope exists in all of us. And it doesn't matter, where you came from. We have no idea where Clea came from. And Luthen did everything that he did, which was a huge part of the rebellion succeeding, was for her. And same with everybody else. And we have no idea who they are. Until this point, we didn't know who they were. It's like, it's not just, the people who can use the cool force powers, even though we want to see the cool force powers too. We do.
We love the cool
That's
force
why when you watch Rogue One, even though you don't get any lightsabers till the end, and it's Darth Vader
is whooping ass.
Bro.
Oh my god. Rogue One is underrated. Watch Rogue One. If you didn't watch Rogue One right after Andor, I need you to go boot up Rogue One right now while Andor is still fresh in your psyche, because it's a good watch under those circumstances. Yeah. Star Wars is Star Wars.
It really is, dude. It really is. And I think the underlying thing of Star Wars is you don't have to be, which is why I hate the last movie, you don't have to be a Skywalker to be important to the cause. You just have to do something for the cause.
You gotta do whatever you can. You gotta give it everything you can. This is an interesting thought. And it's kind of getting off topic, but it's kind of on topic because...
It's adjacent.
It's adjacent.
Yeah.
James Gunn is on record saying that the new DCU is going to be less like the MCU and more like Star Wars. And that Star Wars has a couple of different pivotal events. And in this age of Star Wars, we're getting to see content around all of those different events. Because we got Andor and stuff, which take place before the original trilogy, before the Battle of Yavin. But we had The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and all that stuff is taking place after Episode 6, but before Episode 7 stuff. And so, like, every trilogy of films kind of marks a time period. And then we got the earlier time periods, too, with the Old Republic, which we're hopefully going to see some content out of. And the High Republic, which is the time period that Acolyte takes place in. And so, essentially, the DC universe is going to be like that, where it's going to be like, this is an event, this is a pivotal event, and this is a pivotal event. And we might see movies and shows that take place after that event, before that event, before that event. And so, I don't know. I feel like it makes sense for Star Wars. Is that going to work for, like, the DC universe?
I guess we'll see. But it's nice to know that somebody who cares about the source material is also making creative endeavors to ensure that it does set itself apart from Marvel. And only he would know that because he already works there.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, I feel like out of anybody who can do it correctly, it's in the right hands.
100%.
I think, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just not a huge Superman fan. I am so bored by the idea of Superman, it's not even funny. Like, it's cool to go, like, see Superman stuff. Like, in Illinois, there is a Metropolis. And so there is a giant Superman there. So, of course, like, that's kind of cool.
That's
or,
dope.
like,
That's pretty dope.
you know. I thought he was dope in Injustice, too, because he was not a good person.
Because he was the bad guy?
Like,
yeah.
You know? So it's like, but and then I do randomly...
I had hands with him in Injustice, too. I did.
You did. I do randomly like... was it Superman 2? I always ask you this.
With Brandon Routh?
Yeah.
Superman Returns.
Superman Returns.
Yeah.
I
like
actually
Superman
really like that
Returns.
movie. I watched it on a cruise, and I was like, oh, this is actually cool. But I'm actually super excited for the Superman that's about to come out. Like, it actually looks really cool. It actually, like, I can remember the first time I saw Superman, and I can see the bright colors, but it's not like this overly cheerful thing, you know? Like, it really looks interesting. I think somehow he made the dog look less comical and kind of a little badass, you know?
You think that the breed?
It's not even the breed. No, it's like the way that...
Because Crypto is like supposed to be like a Great Dane, and niggas were mad about that.
Oh,
when
that
they
would have
first
been dope.
Showed Crypto.
That actually would have been dope as a Great Dane. Not gonna lie. The way he's like zipping around and it looks like he's about to help fuck up this person they're about to fight.
Oh, Crypto gonna have a dope fight scene in this movie. I can already
And then,
tell.
yeah, the way the first introduction is him
He's
saving
gonna love
him.
Crypto.
Yeah,
People gonna love Crypto.
it's a lot of different things. I like how the animated parts look. I like the stylization. This is the first time I'm actually really excited for something that's Superman, and I don't even like Superman. You know, he's very low on my list.
Think about the like Superman.
And
I'm thinking about the love Superman.
And I know that things are the DCU is in the right hands because of Peacemaker.
Yep.
I actually really enjoyed the Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad was dope.
I thought, like, if that,
The way that was basically his audition.
Yeah.
And when they saw how dope he did the Suicide Squad, I was like, hey, bro, you could just have it all, bro. Go ahead. You and Peter Safran, y'all go ahead and just make it happen, bro. And he is nailing it. We're watching Creature Commandos.
I was about to say Creature Commandos was the last one, and we only have one episode left.
We got one episode left for that.
But it's really, like, I like the universe he's already created with Viola Davis' character.
Yeah. Kind of keeping those people going.
Mm-hmm. And I like the people that he has put into those positions, all of them. Even if they come back and shit, like...
His universe started there, low-key.
They were the best part of Black Adam. I'm not even gonna lie, I don't care. Like, I saw them, I was like, those are my people.
It was dope.
Like, I felt that,
like,
yeah.
That connectivity. And we're about to get more of that connectivity because you got Rick Flag Sr. now, since they killed off Rick Flag Jr. and Frank Grillo. And he's been in everything DC so far because he's one of the main characters in Creature Commandos. And now we've seen him in the trailer for Peacemaker 2, Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen him in the trailer for Superman. He's the Secretary of State by the time he's in Superman. So, you gotta catch up on where my man's is, huh? Like, something happened to my man's over time. And so, what's gonna be, like, the first... Because, like, if you break down the Star Wars universe into each time period, you know, you can see that. You can understand that. What do you think the first time period for the DCU is going to be, or what are going to be sort of the major events that kind of stamped, you know, the Battle of Yavin, BBY. Star Wars bases its whole timeline years on its position relative to the first movie's Battle of Yavin. What's going to be that for the DCU?
So the DCU, I don't know too terribly much other than, because, you know, I'm a Batman girl, so I know a lot of Batman stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, and Justice League. So I think having to form the current whoever comes out into the Justice League is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as he doesn't want to say that's a Marvel, like, Marvel kind of did the same thing, I think that he might be able to do it with, like, a storyline. You know, I need to know a lot more about big bads. You know, what's the Galactus equivalent in DC?
Yeah, who's gonna be the big bad guy? Maybe that's a good way to break down the time periods then. Maybe every time period is like, oh, this is when they were fighting this villain, or it's when this was the main tyranny, or it's when this was the main tyranny. And DC got some big ones. Well, like Darkseid, obviously, never getting his chance to fully manifest in the DCEU.
Oh, yeah, Darkseid would be a good one.
That's definitely one that they would go for at a certain point. But they got other ones too, like Brainiac could easily be like that sort of big of a threat. There's quite a few of them. Who's the main villain of this Superman movie? Is it just Ultraman?
And Lex Luthor is
Lex
an
Luthor.
antagonist.
Yeah, Lex Luthor is the main antagonist of the movie. That's fair.
Well, he's probably going to be the Earth antagonist, while Superman's got a, actually, what you just said, you know, extraterrestrial antagonist. Because that's the whole problem, is he has to balance both, right?
Well, Ultraman is probably going to present the person he can fight on a one-to-one, so he has that sort of fight. But Lex Luthor probably is who's the main villain, kind of orchestrating all the events. It'll be interesting to see. I think I'm gonna come out with Crypto being my favorite character. I think there's gonna be a lot of people leaving like, Team Crypto.
There's gonna be a lot of cryptos going into the vet after.
There's gonna be a
lot of puppy
There's
cryptos.
gonna be a lot of crypto. Anybody who owns a white dog now
That's
for
crypto.
the next 5 years is gonna name that dog Crypto.
Damn, a great name would have been better. That's fine.
Then you gotta name your dog Crypto with the C, and their last name is Currency.
I hate
And that's
you.
right. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. It'll be a black dog too, to be opposite all the white dogs. So they got all these white K Cryptos going in, then they got my black C Crypto going in. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, no, Boots doesn't like my joke.
No, I'm just.
Spacing out.
Yeah, I saw a planet, so I was just staring at it.
You saw.
I'm role playing the cosmic corner.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what planet? What planet did you see? What planet are we on?
You know what?
No.
You get it, even though you don't. You do.
I don't. But I do.
Which is pretty cosmic right now. It's just a lot of cool things on the horizon.